Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the most cursed video game franchises ever, where once Sonic stood amongst the crowd as a really fast-paced 2D platformer that blew everybody away with its speed, sassy main character, colourful level design, and overall fun factor, has now shifted into an incredibly mockable franchise that just can't quite fit into gaming today. Yes, I'll admit, those stinkers I just mentioned were undeniably terrible, but I'm still a big fan of this once beloved series, and will continue to be until the day I die. I am a proud, loyal Sonic the Hedgehog fan, and I'm about to tell you why. How y'all doing, ladies and gentle ladies? This is TJG66 here, and welcome to the first video of 2021. It's been a while since I've made a normal upload that wasn't focused on this game, so I thought, since I have made heaps of videos about Sonic in the past, I should solidify my love for the franchise by making a video about how and why I love the series so much. I'll be covering my personal history with the franchise and how it drew me in, as well as addressing the stinkers and a few other problems that I have with it, but I'll mainly just talk about the pros and why I keep coming back to the games featuring Sega's mascot. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, Sonic the Hedgehog, a blue hedgehog who can talk, well, eventually he did, has unique speed abilities and is the epitome of a dude with an attitude. He's a hero hell-bent on saving the day and doing the right thing at any cost. The mascot of Japanese video game company Sega, and he is literally one of the main reasons the company hasn't fallen in recent years. Shut up. Most people I know have at least heard of Sonic before. I mean, the guy is literally all over games, comics, cartoons, and even movies at this point. But unfortunately for the little hedgehog, the quality of his games has now garnered a mixed reception amongst gamers. For every excellent game comes at least 3 terrible ones. But how did I come across this franchise? What made me look at this blue cartoony hedgehog and made me go, yep, this is the franchise for me to support? Well, you're about to find out. One afternoon back in the year of 2010, little TJ was bored looking through his digital Wii collection. Yeah, remember this? I kept searching until stumbling across a really cool looking game with a blue spiky animal on the front of it. Curiously, I booted the game up, and this is what I saw. A beautiful opening cinematic which told me everything I needed to know. I mean, we got spaceships, a menacing looking character doing your typical maniacal laugh, well, we already know that's the bad guy, am I right? Then, out of the blue, pun very much intended, comes Sonic, as he sprints past all these weaponized robots with ease, looking like a badass doing so, helping me instantly like the character. Out comes our antagonist, Dr. Eggman, in a mech, who does manage to capture Sonic, but then... Yeah, I know, Super Sonic is really similar to Super Saiyans from Dragon Ball Z, but come on, I wasn't aware of it at the time and it just looked cool. I was on the edge of my couch. One space chase scene later, and I hear some dialogue being delivered by some of the greatest Sonic voice actors of all time. Mike Pollock as Eggman, and Jason Griffith as Sonic. You can fight me on this one, baby.
Sonic! I'm sorry. Really, look, go easy on me. I'll turn over a new leaf, I swear. Just give me a chance.
Well, this is new. Showing remorse, Eggman? If you played nice, I wouldn't have to break all your toys.
Eggman finally traps Sonic and fires a giant penis-shaped laser at the Earth. Okay, now I know he's actually something to fear, and yeah, a little something happens to Sonic over here. The now Hedgehog gets thrown out of the ship, and the title screen finally pops up. What was that? I thought that was absolutely incredible and just the stuff I need. Couldn't wait to get started playing after watching that epic opening. Truly one of the best opening cinematics to any Sonic game and maybe even any video game period. After another cutscene and a few loading screens, menus and tutorials, here I am at the first level of Sonic Unleashed. It includes insane speed, great music in the background, fantastic level design, and disposable enemies among other things. Of course, being a kid who had never played any Sonic before, this level originally kicked my ass, but for the most part I didn't care as I was having a good time playing. Or maybe I just continued to yell at the TV until I passed the level. I don't know, it's one of the two. Of course, nowadays I have many problems with Sonic Unleashed, but back then, with no knowledge of other existing Sonic games in my mind, what I originally experienced was superb, and certainly good enough of an introduction to the world. After my experience with Unleashed, I went on to play other Sonic games for the Wii, such as Sonic Colors and spin-offs like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. They were pretty mixed in terms of quality. Another one of the main things that drew me in about the Sonic franchise was the selection of likable and hateable characters, and the cartoony art style that mostly remained consistent and fun to look at, especially if you were in the demographic that was already into cartoony stuff, like I was when I first discovered these games. The characters in my mind perfectly represent their personalities. For instance, Sonic seems to have this cool hero look to him with all the colours and smirks on his face, whilst Eggman's presence, as I said, exemplifies villainy. Side characters like Tails screamed cheerful partner, Shadow was the edgy one, Amy was the annoying one, Knuckles was the intense one, you get the idea. Also, the good games nailed the concept of platforming with speed, especially in the cases of the Mega Drive classics, Sonic Colors, Generations, and Mania. It always felt so fun to control the blue blur, and when you performed such cool looking moves like spin dashes, boosts, quick steps, and homing attacks, you as a player felt cool doing them. When it comes to game quality, the Mega Drive games from the 90s are obviously great, but as a gamer from the 2000s, it felt quite daunting attempting these games due to how difficult they were. It was usual in the 90s, I know, but as someone who grew up in the 2000s, it's a little daunting. Not a huge gripe, but an annoyance nonetheless. Still check them out though if you haven't already, because they're great and absolutely worth your time. The early 2000s 3D Dreamcast titles are okay, haven't really experienced enough of them yet to get a full opinion. The mid-2000s were the mid-2000s. And you can tell by the heavy use of Generations footage that I love most of the new Sonic titles, at least when effort's being put into them. On the plot side of things, the franchise does suffer from having the same villain with the same plan almost every single time, which in this case is Eggman trying to take over the world. A lot like, say, Mario or Skylanders. But to be honest, seeing the same plot over and over is refreshing, because when the franchise does attempt to try something different, it rarely pays off. So I'd much rather repetition over convoluted plots that keep unintentionally destroying themselves and leaving you with more questions than answers. When it comes to Sonic's other media, I liked the movie that came out almost a year ago. I think it took itself the right amount of serious, and it had a really good cast that stole the show. Jim Carrey in particular, he was really good. If you like Sonic in any way, shape or form, you should go and watch the movie. I think you'll have a good time. Just don't take it too seriously. And yeah, the cartoons are fine, nothing really offensive about them or anything, but I didn't get nearly as attached to them as others. But of course, if you love these shows, that's totally fine. And check out my CinemaSins clones on these various Sonic cartoons, if you haven't already. I'm torn between bringing them back to the channel or not, so let me know if you want to see them back or not in the comments below. Okay, now it's time for me to address the elephant in the room. That terrible Sonic game that I've kept mentioning throughout this entire video. Sonic the Hedgehog, better known as Sonic 06, was released in 2006 for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. This was the game that almost single-handedly killed the entire franchise. Almost everything about it sucked, except two things, this part and the soundtrack. I've seen reviews of this game for quite a while now, so recently my curiosity gave in and I bought the PS3 copy of this game from a pre-owned game shop. And yeah, it wasn't great. I hate the story, loading screens, and super speed sections as much as the next guy, but there's one annoying part of the game that I don't think gets mentioned enough. The dialogue. Oh, the dialogue. Just listen to some of these lines, and if you don't feel a single bit of cringe, I don't even think you're human.
Mr. Sonic!
Just call me Sonic. Now then, are you okay? Okay, you be careful, Tails.
Leave it to me! I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
Smile. Don't be late. Same to you. Nice smile.
I don't care what happens to the world.
Elise, just smile.
Look, I'm not saying people shouldn't motivate others to smile through the pain, but when you give those lines which are already terribly scripted to a character who's never acted this way before, that becomes a problem. This is not Sonic the Hedgehog. He's supposed to be sassy. He's supposed to stand out, not be so bland and uninteresting. I mean, it's like comparing Samuel L. Jackson in Snakes on a Plane, where he was basically the only redeeming quality of the otherwise bang-average movie, to the Star Wars prequels where he's boring and given the George Lucas script. Just like those movies of Hayden Christensen, you can tell that it's bad direction that's ruining Jason Griffith in 06. Because before and after this game, we can see how good of a Sonic he can be, so it's not his fault for the horrible Sonic dialogue he's forced to record, it's the scriptwriter's fault. Anyways, that was my experience with 06. Moving on from there, I have saved my favourite part about Sonic till last. This is what I play the games for, seriously, and that is the music. Yep, that's right. Can't play any of my favourite songs because I'm worried about copyright, but just type Sonic songs into YouTube, they usually recommend some good compilations. Yes, the soundtrack is the best part about Sonic in my opinion. Even the bad games, even the worst of the worst have good soundtracks. Again, just like Star Wars. Some of my favourite songs come from 06, Unleashed, Generations, Mania, Free Riders, Colors, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, and Sonic 4, just to name a few. The only games that I think don't have good music are the Boom games, but almost everything else is filled with such great genres as electro-pop, funk, rock and roll, and orchestral, all of which hit the right emotions at the right time, again even with the bad games. Despite the issues I do have with this famous video game franchise, I'll probably forever be a big fan of Sonic, as his quality games are really fun, the characters are fun to watch for the most part, and the soundtrack improves my mood almost every time I put a song on. I first played this series as a kid, and it'll always have a special place in my heart, as it has impacted me for the better, and part of the reason why I began my YouTube channel about 2 years ago now. And that, my friends, is why I love Sonic the Hedgehog. And that wraps up today's video. Thank you ever so much for watching, I really hope you enjoyed it, and here's to hopefully a much better year. Check me out on Letterboxd and Instagram if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Feel free to like, share, comment down below. This has been TJG66. Goodbye for now.
To the top, here I go, think I'm chosen to be the king of rock, think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock